this is Clip's investment into training the creators to be better and better.
We also have the control to we're marking your videos on a rating.
Hi girls. So today I wanted to talk about something that actually I spotted when I was giving feedback to one of our creators on Clip. This is what me and Ali do on a daily basis. We share the feedback on the creators' videos. Recently, I gave feedback about something very particular in the video, but obviously this is very important to understand that we give feedback for the future videos, right? Which we're going to definitely talk a bit more in depth. But basically, what I've spotted is that the creator, after a while, added another video, and I realized when I watched it that she made the change that I suggested. And I felt like a little bit heartbroken because I was like, no, you didn't need to re-record the video. You didn't need to do the changes that I suggested because this is just for the future. So I think it would be very interesting to talk about this today and clarify what our feedback means and what the brand's feedback means. So Maria, I think this is the question for you to just clarify what's the feedback like for creators and how they should react to it.
Yeah, so there's two types of feedback that we're currently doing on Clip. Feedback from the brand is the most important one for now. It's the accurate one, right? So when a brand is requesting an edit, it means they're not happy with something. So that means that they're going to give feedback as a brand on the video that the creator has produced. At the same time, the girls are giving feedback on the same video that you produce for the same brand. But as Nicolas said, this is just for future, campaigns and videos in general. It's like a general kind of advice, or if we didn't have anything to say that you can improve, it's still like, we're happy to see this video. Just keep doing this. You don't have to do anything basically, but it's just more like an appreciative email that we send to you just to know that you're on the right track and keep up with the good stuff. So again, the feedback that the brand is providing is the most important one, and that is the edits that you should provide to the brand. And then the ones that the girls are providing, just keep it in mind for the next videos. You don't have to do anything about that. It's just an email coming from the girls, taking their time to actually watch your videos and making sure, that basically the brief was kind of followed as well, and just to make sure that the next time you'll follow the brief, just to make sure that you're communicating with the brand and so on. But again, the main feedback is the one that the brand is giving to you in the edit requests, kind of like chat that you're going to receive in the platform.
What I would say is the fact that always take the feedback that we give is basically we're just helping to guide you to prove for future videos, like nearly train you as such. Because I think for us anyway, when we get to see the difference, for example, I'm sure you agree, Nicola, and even Maria, it's so lovely to see creators at the very start and then seeing how they progress and how they get better and better. And it's more just helping you how you can film better, how you can actually do lighting. If you're using overlays and you're maybe just not hitting the editing 100% right, like we're giving guidance on like audio, how can you help if there's those audio pops, like stay a little bit further back. If you're using overlays and it's glitching, like different things to keep in mind. So basically our role is just to help you improve your future videos in general and kind of giving you that guidance that I think Nicola will agree too that we never had when we were doing it. Because let's be honest, when you're creating videos and you're doing things, sometimes you might be happy with a video or you may not be 100% happy, but you're not really sure why. And you're kind of just like, I would love someone to watch this and give me productive feedback, rather than a brand just being like, yeah, that's grand, happy, or no, want this changed, but not ever going deep. Yeah, or not hearing anything, because that happens a lot too. And actually being like, how can I improve? How can I get better? That someone's going to actually spend time helping guide me and nearly tutor me into becoming a better creator as well.
100%. And I think also this was the whole motivation. I think, Maria, you would agree. Obviously, this is Clip's investment into training the creators to be better and better, because obviously then the clients return or they get more out of the videos that you create as creators. So I think the main idea was to just give you that sort of sometimes obviously a boost, or like a little ego boost that we also need, because as Ali mentioned, sometimes there is nothing, and we see it. We can see the messages between creators and brands as well, and it is a little bit sad when brands just leave it as approved the video and that's it. There's nothing. Because sometimes we're like, sometimes you're either very happy with the video and you just wish the brand was like, oh, well done, like we love it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they might get back, never give you feedback, but not actually be truly happy with the video. Then like they'll just never return.
And that is so much worse because obviously this is where our growth stops as a creator. When we don't hear back anything, either it's good, positive feedback, or if there's something to improve upon, which obviously me and Ali, this is what we're trying to do. I think it will be very interesting to also mention maybe the most common feedback that we give, because obviously we're talking about that. And I think perhaps chatting about the points that we mostly type into the messages would be quite interesting. What's the general sort of things that people struggle with?
My number one is I'm always saying about, well, two things. Number one, scene changes, because I'm starting to notice, which is a little bit sad, some creators that are amazing creators, you can kind of tell when they nearly get a little bit lazy. So also too, when we're giving feedback, just FYI to everyone, we also have the control to like, we're marking your videos on a rating from 1 to 5 about how good that specific video is, but then also you've got a rating internally of like creator rating as well. But we're constantly monitoring that. All of your videos get rated and all of your actual like profiles is to get rated. And sometimes it's a pity, but like creators will get a little bit lazy and they'll not do the scene changes. And there's a few videos recently from like some creators that are amazing, but you can just tell one, it was like they're holding up a product, they're literally applying to the skin, they're doing this, and it's a 30-second video. Yes, the script is good, but there's no scene changes. And I'm like, I know what your potential is. I know what you've done in the past. And automatic for me, that's a downgrade on the actual rating of the video. And also if I see a couple of videos from like that actual user then gets downgraded, that then you can lose your premium status if you're not keeping up. So it's always just keeping it in there. But back to the point of what you're asking, scene changes, I always say that because it should be every few seconds. You don't want a video that nearly feels lazy, that it's just one scene. You didn't try change scenes, you didn't do different angles, you didn't show texture, the packaging. Like there's so many different angles you can actually get of a product. You'd be amazed to make it more interesting. And the second one too is I always say tone of voice, pretend you're talking to a friend. Nowadays, no one wants really salesy, over-the-top, fake video. It's really obvious it's an ad. So it's always making sure you have that tone in check as well when you're writing your script. Nearly thinking, okay, how would I be saying this if I was really excited and I want to tell one of my friends? Would I talk like that? Would I say these things? Or is that a wee bit just too generic fake? So that would be my two. But Nicola, what about you?
So my most typed in sentence, I think, in the history of sentences I've ever typed in my life is... step away slightly from the mic when recording voiceover.
No.
Yeah, that would have been my
avoid
number
the
3.
sound distortion.
Yeah.
I literally can say that. You wake me up in the middle of the night and I will be able to say this sentence.
Yeah, you've engraved in your brain.
And obviously it's such a small detail, but it's so noticeable. Once you hear it in one video, you will not be able to unhear it. But this is the thing. And I think, obviously, when I give someone this feedback for the first time, in my head, I'm thinking, you hear it now, you will always hear it now.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen. And I think people don't hear it the same on different devices as well. Because
True.
some phones will not give off that pop as hard as like our laptop would when we watch it. It's always great to, I know this is a bit of like a pedantic approach, but to actually airdrop that video to your laptop and listen to it as well. Just to see if that audio changes. But obviously, ones of the most hearable ones, you know, where they're very noticeable, that's just something that you have to look after.
Yeah. And I'd say with that as well is kind of what you said, it's double checking your videos, because sometimes, I'm sure you agree too, I'm going back to people being like, always double check your video before uploading, because the amount of times there's that CapCut outro on it, or there's music added and it's the full length of the song rather than the video, and it's just black space, and it's not as professional looking. And also too, from a creator's point of view for a brand, it makes the brand nearly look at you and be like, oh, their attention to detail wasn't just there, that they really didn't spend time. It feels rushed, and you never want anyone to say your work feels rushed. I think that's probably one of the horrible things to hear.
And to add to this point as well, it's that sort of thing when you put so much effort into the video, because we can tell when someone's shooting the clips, right? There's so much attention to detail there. It's such a shame to then drop the ball right at the end. 90% of the feedback that we give would be avoided if someone watched that video this one more time before uploading.
And another thing to add there too is always double checking your briefs. A few recently I've seen for a particular campaign, all the videos they wanted was in 16:9 horizontal. And there was two different creators within that campaign that had the same mistake, that they uploaded the video in 9:16. It's a reshoot because you can't.
Yeah.
And also too, don't think you can get away with then uploading the same video and zooming it in, because your head's cut off. It's not going to look right. So always double check. I know standard UGC videos, you'll just automatically assume it's 9:16. But always double check that brief, because it might not be for social media, it might be for websites, that content, that you want to make sure you're doing it. And once again, it's the attention to detail. Double check it just to make sure. But yeah, another thing I was going to add there too is overlays. It's my personal pet peeve. If you're adding overlays, always make sure your overlay lines up, that there's no gaps from overlay to overlay transition, that the main track below that peeks through. So basically what that is, if you're doing a face to camera shooting piece, you're recording that, you're then got all your B-roll and you're adding that on top so it all flows nicely. Make sure they're aligned, because there's nothing worse than this millisecond glitch of it just falling away and your voiceover, of you reading it off something, pops up. Because then the video doesn't feel flowy, it feels disjointed, and once again, it doesn't look professional. So always make sure for that. And also too, as well, in the same regard for overlays, make sure if your sentences, if you've added the captions, that they're not flicking across when you're not saying the right words, because sometimes CapCut with the captions, you always need to double check them. If it's going across different scene cuts but you're saying something else, you want that to line up nicely too, because I know it's such a small detail, but it makes such a difference when you're watching videos.
It really
the
does.
flow really looks good and it works together better too.
And obviously, our eye is now trained to catch those things. And we understand that this is not normal.
It's not. No.
No, but this is the thing that we obviously will be able to see it straight away, because we have watched it so many times, being done so many times. But this is just a little challenge for every creator to just watch that video one more time to spot those things themselves. Because I'm seeing my old videos and I'm like, oh God.
I feel like we'll have to do a podcast episode on this someday, that we'll have to look our old videos, because I feel like it's only fair, and roast them, because like there's things definitely that I look back on, I cringe, I'm like, why? But to be fair, it's not the fact you're doing it on purpose, and that's what I'm saying to you for creators listening. We know you're not doing these things on purpose. It's just the fact you may not realise yet. And it takes time with learning and seeing it, that then you nearly get the eye for it.
It's the same with green screen. There's so many little things about green screen that can go really wrong. Obviously, the first one, the most common one, I think, is when people record themselves when it's not kind of the fully framed shoulders, at least, right?
And there's just a harsh line.
And obviously, there's ways to do it. If that's the video that you recorded, you can obviously mirror the clip, move it to the other side so that arm is not visible. There's so many things, but also when your green screen finishes, it needs to finish exactly where that underneath the screen finishes. Again, it's all of that tiny details that combined make your video high quality. This is the thing. If you make one of those mistakes, you can get away with it. But if they kind of layer on top of each other and there's just those glitches every now and then,
it looks sloppy.
That's when it looks sloppy.
If you are adjusting or you're adding filters, first of all, I would say try to stay away from filters and never use any of those face editing filters that like blur your face, because it just straight away screams that it's like fake, and you don't want that. It's real, authentic looking content is what you're trying to make.
Yeah,
but
especially for skincare. Like when you have a skincare product,
never blur your face. Yeah, it's like yeah, it just calls it out, and like you know it's fake. Obviously in CapCut too, depending on how you're adding adjustments, because sometimes you might need to adjust like a little bit or something needs changed. If you're doing it, minimally adjust. Try not to, but if you're going to. But if you're doing that, once again, make sure if you've got that adjust filter on the actual length of video, because sometimes it comes up nearly like a wee overlay clip too, and it's not the full length of video, because there's nothing worse, and it's happened a few times. I've seen it, and nothing worse too, the brand has noticed it, and that's their edit request. It flicks off halfway through, and like it's just a glitch in the footage that it's like really, for example, saturated, and then it comes off and it's just bland. Because once again, it's just not good attention to detail. So you want to make sure if you're adding any filters or adjustments like that, make sure once again it runs the full length of your video.
There's so many like resources out there today about like all those edits. And I think my another one, and this might be actually my top 3, is when creators add either captions or music to the raw edited version of the main video. And I give feedback on that because creators, you should be paid more for those as an add-on. So don't just do it. And if you do it well.
I know we spoke about this before, but the brand, that main video type should always just be the main video raw edited. So then if the brand wants to make amendments or adjustments afterwards, they have that copy. People get confused about why is it not just the main video is the main finished video, but it is your main edit with the add-ons and being separate files too.
And it shows your attention to details when you kind of, obviously, if you do have add-ons in your campaigns, if you do send them as the right video type. This is very important because to avoid confusion from the brand side, but also from our side, because then we're like, oh, this is supposed to have subtitles, but it doesn't, or it's a main video, but it does have subtitles, but it's just because you swapped them in that uploading process. So it's a small pet peeve, but it's a very commonly made mistake, if that makes sense. But with those, coming back to the captions and music, obviously one of my main feedbacks towards music, if it's added and not necessarily wanted, is when people add music and on top of everything, it's also not copyright free music. Because then you give the video to the brand and they accept it because they're like, nice, they added music, which we didn't ask for, but now we have music under the video. But now they don't have the version without the music, right? So they will only be able to use that. And to extract that voice separate from music, that's going to be like, you need an editor for that. Realistically,
you
right?
You can do it, but it'll never be done well.
It'll never be done well.
It'll just never sound as good.
Yeah, and then they're stuck with no video because probably after a couple of months of running it as an ad, it's going to get flagged and muted. And that's just going to be sad story. So that's one of the things. And obviously with captions, there's so much that we can say about captions. I think I would start with, don't add them if you are not asked to add them.
Yeah.
I think this
100%.
is quite a clear point, is that normally 99% of the times if brand doesn't request captions, it means that they will add it in post-production. But Ali, what would you say about the captions?
Always, once you export that video, listen or watch that video on mute, because you want to make sure your captions are actually correct. And it is hard if you're listening to it at the same time as reading it, because sometimes your mind will fix those errors and you'll not see them. But always listen to it when it's muted so you can actually read it and make sure it makes sense. And always triple check you've the correct spelling of the brand name, because this happens more time than you think, that once again, it just picks up the wrong accent or picks up something wrong and it puts in the wrong word, and no brand wants to see their name spelled wrong, because then straight away they're going to be like, wait, what? It's like saying someone's name wrong and like writing it down all the time, like, that's not right. Do you not know who you're working with? So I'd always say to check that. And then for captions too, I've put it in for different times. I'm sure you have, Nicola, too. Your safe zone. Like, make sure when you're adding captions, you have it in the safe zone. I, most of the time, if I see it's not in the safe zone, will actually send you the link. There's like overlays that you can literally download, put them on top of your video to double check if you're new to this. But eventually we'll get to learn like where is the safe zone to put videos for your captions. Another thing I would say too is just don't have your captions too big and taken away from the video itself to hide the key bits. So for example, if you're filming a video, you don't want the captions to be the main part of it, that it nearly hides product or hides the shots behind. So after you add captions, make sure that wherever you've positioned it, it doesn't affect the clips. So for me, for certain times, if I add captions, realize it's blocking branding, it's affecting how this looks, I'll tweak that actual video clip underneath, so then the captions fit nicely and it means that it just looks a lot better together too.
And also I think to remember that less is more when it comes to captions. You know, don't go for crazy handwritten fonts, because you will read it because you know the script, but no one else will be able to read it ever. So don't do that. Make sure that it's very clear. If there is brand colors or fonts, also, I think it shows the quality if you do ask the brand, if there is an add-on as a captions, to ask them about it. Otherwise, if there's nothing, just stick to the system font on CapCut. Everyone loves the one where the words pop up, right, as we speak. It's lovely and I use it quite a lot myself, but it took me ages to be able to manipulate those lines as I want them to.
Oh,
and this is
chunk,
Yeah, and then it's almost like sometimes you would have like a couple of words, and when you crop it, the one word doesn't highlight, or this happens, or the whole sentence just disappears because you deleted that, because you have to treat it as like a sequence, right? So you have to actually cut through it and make those manipulations to it. Don't just delete it and add a new text, because that's not going to work. And that happens so many times. And the small things like finishing sentences, but that's something to plan as well in your content, not just the captions, but to finish the sentence on the clip. Yes. Or on the end of the clip. So then it also helps the captions to be neat as well.
Another thing I'd say too is when it comes to your script writing, depending on what type of video it is. So sometimes, like for example, you've got those testimonials, which you can get away with having, I guess, a little less of an organized script because you're trying to keep it really authentic and real. However, some people may disagree with me. I personally think there should always be a script, even if it's a loose script, because you don't want to waffle and go in circles and go round. Because sometimes the feedback I'm given is having a tighter script that even, especially when it comes to testimonial videos, that you can kind of tell the person they've kind of just picked up a product and started talking about it because they're nearly going in swings and roundabouts around it and saying the same stuff different way, and like it's just not that concise, that you'll lose that engagement straight away because people will get bored because they're like, when you're doing it, there is a structure, like your hook, your body, your CTA, like
storyline.
Yeah, the storyline has to be structured. Even if it's natural, it still has to have it, or else you'll lose people and they'll be like, they're just waffling and there's no real point to what they're saying. So it's nearly a skill, I think, in its own sometimes, like making sure you've got a relatable script, but also it's not going too far, because once again, I don't have to say too much now, but your timing in videos, I think this is another piece of feedback that has got definitely better. I think we're creators, but obviously when you get a video, there's the different time limits that you have for each one, and sometimes creators will go way over that, and fair enough, because we get to reread the message as well to see if there's context behind it. And sometimes creators agree and will say like, by the way, I felt loads of blah, blah, over, let me know, I can edit it shorter.
Yes,
which is great. However, at the end of the day, for you to get paid fairly and for it to meet the brief, like you should be staying within those like guidelines of the time. And a lot of time that comes down to planning your script to actually meet those and not going too overboard.
Prioritize the information in your script. The priority of what is the main point, what is the kind of filler point, that makes it nicely flow into your lifestyle. But you have to have those key USPs in mind at all times when writing your script. Even when it's a loose product testimonial, when the brand is like, I want you to speak from the bottom of your heart. Yes, we want that, but you still have to have the main points. Yeah. If you're talking about a cream, it's a moisturizing, hydrating, smoothing out the wrinkles. Like you still have to have all those points in your testimonial. Otherwise, when you waffle about it, I love it. Oh, my friend got it for me, but then this and that happened.
Where is USP?
Yeah, because straight away you're just asking for a reshoot or a re-edit that the brand will literally be like, hi, you didn't include in the information that we actually wanted. Fair enough if you were genuinely just making this yourself, but like you're being paid by a brand to create content, there has to be an element of something in there. Do you know what I mean?
That's
it together.
Yeah. It needs to sell something at the end of the day. Your authentic tone obviously is a tool to sell the information still. So
yeah, and even if the some of, let's say the brand didn't put the USPs, shocking. There's so many brands that don't put anything in the brief, right? It is your responsibility to check those USPs, because it's like they'll be like, okay, we just want a testimonial or whatever. First of all, maybe ask them, hey, what do you want me to include? There's nothing in the brief, blah blah blah. If they're still like, oh, just do whatever you want, it's still your responsibility to understand what
is a red flag. I'll get a red flag and every so often just wave it around, and also get a billboard for communicate. But no, literally, like, to me, that's such a red flag. I'm like, don't ever be like, oh yeah, whatever you want, because then that is setting you up to fail, because if they don't really know what they want,
both sides,
they'll get it, and then they'll be like, oh, that wasn't what I wanted though.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know. And you're like,
yeah, exactly. So try to get as much information as you can, but still just keep the main points in that video, as Nicola said, because these are the most important part, and that's why you're creating that video,
I think it would be also nice to mention the positive feedback that we give the most, because I think there's also areas that all our creators on Clip nail. So Ali, what would be your top positive feedback?
While it's feedback that I give back a lot negatively, it's also feedback I give back a lot positively, is the scene changes. When they're a creator that has like text me through a full storyline, they've got all the different scene changes, they've got all the texture shots, and they just nail the full brief. I'm just like, buzzing because I'm like, beautiful video. So I'd say is when creators do great scene changes and they have beautiful lighting. Like so many creators I've seen the platform have absolutely nailed and are getting so good at always like this beautiful lighting shots. And another one I'd say too is when creators absolutely nail that script, that it's like, it gets me so intrigued watching it. Like there's so many videos I love watching. Like when I'm giving feedback, I'm just like, that was just a great video. I literally have no feedback like negative about it or improvements for future. It's literally just beautiful scene changes, really good storytelling throughout, and like just a really fun, engaging video to watch that now has influenced me. Like so many times, I think that's the point we need to mention. I get influenced by products from watch the videos. I'm like, that is really cool. Like you've sold that to me, and I'm just like,
I want it.
Yeah,
my favorite thing that happens is when we forget that we're giving feedback.
Yes,
because we're so like in the story, because the storyline was so good. And when it happens, there's just something like your heart just melts, right?
Yeah.
Because you forget that you're watching, like they're giving feedback. You just feel like you're just scrolling and you just stopped to watch. When this happens, I always say that this is what hooked me. Like you hooked me right at the beginning, and I actually watched the whole video without thinking about looking for flaws in it, because I think this is it. Sometimes we already talked about negative feedback, but sometimes when we watch a video, it leaves us looking out for small things, right? Because something is missing in it, and we sometimes can't put a finger on it. Because it's almost impossible. But once we watch a video and the energy is spot on, I think most of my positive feedback, always the first sentence is, love your energy, love the kind of variety of scenes and how you kept the whole video so engaging. That storytelling is, when you feel like you're just watching this video for fun.
Like you can tell when like it's nearly the perfect collaboration, that the person creating the video is genuinely really excited. And now they might not be, they might just be very good at like acting and doing that. But it's amazing when it's literally like, I can tell how excited you are, therefore it makes me excited. And like I can feed off that energy. That's always one or two, because energy I think is such an important thing. And on both sides too, if your energy depending on the video is like a really high energy, or if I watch a video and it's like a really calm evening routine nighttime and it makes me feel calm. Like I love videos that nearly make me feel the feeling they're trying to portray. If it's that high energy, if it's that calm, or if it's that other side too, it's like something sad or this is annoying, but like I can actually see then they're genuine, like this is how things used to be and how it is now, and they've story told it really, really well, then 10 out of 10.
I think there's quite a couple of creators on Clip who are such great like chameleons almost, because they really showcase that emotion that you want it to hit. And when it happens, it's just like magic happens, right? Because everything else, once the creator has that energy and that authenticity nailed, on top of the high quality visuals, the rest just follows, because you know that their voiceover is going to be spot on. You know that their editing is going to be subtle. You know that this is just going to work.
Yeah. I was going to say, one of my favorite creators on the platform is Michael. Like I love his videos. It's always that cool, calm vibe to it. And he's always really good at having this perfect tone. And I just know every time I watch the videos, I'll be like, amazing, because the vibe is always so on point and it's very authentic to him, but also to how he's able to convey then the storyline. It feels really natural, and like those videos I will always love, because I'm like, that's just really nicely done and it feels natural. Yes, I know it's an ad, but I don't even care. I'm still being sold to and I love it. Like
also, how nice is the feeling when there's a couple of creators that when I see their name or their face popping up, I feel safe. I feel like I'm okay.
Yeah, it's really like exciting. Like, oh, what did they do this time? What's it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I think with creators is a little bit of like 50-50, or depending on the day. And some creators will just always make it work. If there's no natural light, they're going to make a moody video. They're going to work around it. So I think this really shows that skill and just that level up, from the rest. And it's always going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong to be like on your journey to get there. I guess it depends on how you take on that feedback that you see from us, that you see from the brand, because you could be like, what the hell do you know? Like, I'm doing my thing. And don't get me wrong, we all know that there are people like this everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But when the creators take the feedback on, we can really see the quality shift.
You can tell the creators that take on the feedback and the creators that either don't listen to it or don't do it, because you are, like, well, I find myself anyway, I'm repeatedly saying the same things. For example, like, there's been creators a few times that I can tell they're not using a tripod, and I always say, like, look, to get the best shots and also for leveling, and like, instead of like loads of space up here or down here, get a tripod.
Yeah.
I can tell when they've actually went and done that, or they've not taken on board, and every time I'm saying tripod or like lighting, or for example, if it's like scene changes and you feel like you're constantly saying the same feedback, because nearly I feel sad for them, because then I'm like, you're stinting the potential that you have to become a premium creator or go further. But if you just tweaked a few things, like your quality, everything would be so good. Even down to the fact, wiping your camera lens. Like, sometimes for creators, I'm like, if you just wipe that, it would be great.
And we can see it because we see all of your videos between us two.
Some people might know like our faces from this podcast or for lives and stuff, but it's funny how well we know people and their faces from just watching their videos, that like I feel like people probably don't realise how well we do.
I would literally be like, if I saw them on the street, I would be like, how's your hat? I had an experience the other day when I met some people that we've never met, and we talked for like 2 years with an agency, and we finally met in person, and I couldn't recognize them, but they spotted me in a coffee shop opposite, and they were like, come here, and I was like, oh, it is you.
And from the Verve point of view, just weird the fact that they've seen your portfolio, seen all the work, and that
the brands probably feel the same way, or you want them to feel the same way, so you have to represent, you know, all the time.
And I think that note that you started with, Nicola, I think it ends up quite nicely, the podcast, because I actually wanted to mention again that this feedback, it's not to punish you or to show you, oh, you're so bad, or oh, you've done so many wrong things and I'm just going to point this out for you, so you were never going to do this. This feedback is more like first of all, we appreciate your work, and that's why these girls are taking time to write those emails, because it's not like, oh, this video doesn't have this. It's just, they're taking a lot of time to actually make sure that they're mentioning everything that went amazing and everything that can be improved. Don't treat it as like something bad at all, because we're not trying to do that. It's actually the opposite. We're trying. So just think about the fact that, spending time on giving feedback will actually, and obviously you taking into account the feedback, of course, that's a very important part in this process. It will actually bring you more collaborations. This is the whole point of it, right? Because if you're getting better, that will make you get more collaborations. People will see like, oh.
Because I think too, sometimes people might get frustrated that they've applied to campaigns and they haven't got anywhere. Like,
exactly.
Listen to the feedback, or like to look at that, because that 9 times out of 10 is potentially why that like you need to tweak a few things. And it's not to say like you're terrible, you're awful, you'll never get there. It is just, here's a few things. And I think it's really nice too, because no one wants to, if you're learning a new job, if you're doing something, you want that feedback to make you get better. As we said at the very start of this, like, you don't ever want to be stinted and then be like, oh, this is as far as I'm going to get, I can't improve.
And there's no one to tell you this. We're such digital industry.
Yeah.
There's no one next to you on your team being like, hey, would you mind just having a look at it?
Yeah. No.
So take it. Because honestly, when I was starting, and even now, like, whenever brand gives me feedback, I would prefer for them to give me negative feedback than none.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, well, at least there's something back, and at least I know like what you liked, what you didn't like, and then I can actually take it on to the next one. As Ali said at the beginning of the episode, like, when you don't hear anything but they actually didn't like your work, that's the worst thing that can happen to you.
Because then you're like, why didn't they come back, or did I do something wrong? Whereas if you have black and white, this is what it was. Also too, it leaves room for, like, if there's miscommunications, that you could be like, oh, sorry, I completely picked up wrong what you're after. That's no problem. I can get it like edited. Like, that's fine. Because I think I've said like ages ago in a podcast too, that one time I worked with a brand, and the style I done, I thought, oh, this is the style that they were after. And then they were very kind to give me feedback. Like, oh, we wanted something like more organic feeling. And I was like, perfect. And honestly, I didn't even have to like reshoot or nothing. It was just a tone change for the script and like editing slightly different, that then they were buzzing with it. And they were like, this is amazing, exactly what we're after. But very easily, I could have been the other side of that they were like, that creator's not right for us, she didn't get it right, that's a video wasted. Whereas I was able to very easily fix it and send it off, and they were happy. So it was a win-win. And then for me too, it opened up my eyes to like, okay, always double check with brands like what way they want it to really look, because sometimes you don't want to take it for a given that you know and they don't, because brands are always after different things too.
We don't expect you to learn from us. It's just the little comments that we've seen, we've done before, and
Yeah.
we've noticed a little something about your video that we've probably struggled with before. And we're also learning from your videos just as much.
Yeah, like there's amazing content creators out there, far better than what I am. But I will never try and be like, oh, I know it and this is what you should do or shouldn't do. It's just literally down to like the principles of like, this is what can help improve it. And it's never, as Maria said there, it's never bashing or being like, this isn't good enough, this isn't that. For then the creator to be like, well, what do they know? It is just trying to be helpful to help the community as a whole in the industry get better and get higher quality work. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants work, everyone wants repeat campaigns, everyone wants to keep on growing. To be able to do that, it sometimes is just listen to the feedback, take it on board, and then for future filming, take it in mind.
When you were saying that when you don't receive feedback from brands at all, and not saying most of the times, but there were times that the brand might not have been happy with the video, but they've never mentioned it. I feel like the creators don't even think about that. They feel like, oh, they didn't say anything? Oh, it's fine then. Yeah, they liked it. So I feel like just be mindful about these situations. And that's why we send you this feedback, because there might be brands. Of course, we send you the feedback if the brand doesn't send any feedback at all, just to encourage you and just to, you know, pat you on the shoulder and be like, oh, you did an amazing job because the brand didn't mention this. But also to actually get you like going in terms of maybe something can be improved. Most of the times the brands will say like, oh, I love the video, or this video is great, you know, because at the end of the day, they paid for it, you know, and they will say something. So, yeah.
All I want to add on to that too is brands will always have different levels of what they expect in quality. So for one brand, you could film a video and they'd be like, amazing, best thing ever, I love it. But the exact same video for another brand, they'd be like, no, this isn't right, tone's not right. Yeah. So there's very different levels from brand to brand, which is why too sometimes it is so, once again, valuable to get that feedback, because as Maria said, if you don't hear anything, you assume it's fine, whereas another brand would be completely back with like, no, this needs changed and loads of stuff. So it's always good to just keep on learning that, okay, have it at this high quality, less likely to get the feedback, that then minimises your chances of having to spend more time filming more content, and you can just, job finished, move on. But have we got anything else to add?
I think we squished the topic to the last drop, but I loved it because I feel like the one thing that creators, all of us have in common, is that we all create and we either get feedback or we don't. And it can go both ways. And I think it's great to just chat about it and open up about it, because everyone has their struggles. Everyone has their imposter syndrome tendencies and things creeping in. So treat that feedback as you want. If you want to grow, take it on. If you don't really care, just ignore it and let it be.
Yeah, they will still send you the feedback, by the way.
We will still send it.
Yeah, we're still coming.
In your inbox. Oh, by the way, also, I was thinking about it and I completely forgot. Well, I wanted to mention it, but you were such in a passionate discussion about captions that basically we talked about captions as well in depth in our previous episode about add-ons. So have a look on that one as well. We obviously touched some points in this one too, but that covers more. So yeah, anyway, thanks for joining us today, for listening. If you have any topics that you want us to discuss, feel free to let us know, or questions, of course.
If you hate our feedback or love our feedback, let us know too.
Just give us feedback on the feedback. Why not? Yeah, just reach out to us on social media. We're pretty much everywhere. Email hello@useclip.com, and then we will see you in our lives as well, and in our next episode. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye, girls.
Bye.